All right guys, welcome back to the channel. As you can see, I'm at a little bit of a different venue today. I'm up here in China Grove at Grafton Outdoors. Colin was kind enough to reach out. He's seen a lot of the comments that you guys posted in the videos that you wanted me to do some reviews on some other bows besides Matthews and Hoyts. I have this Elite Omnia here today. This is a bow that actually spiked my interest when it got dropped. The IBO rating of this bow is 347 feet per second, and that's what got me curious, really, on top of some of the other technology that they have in these Elite bows that I think is really cool and is really user-friendly for someone like you and me who like to tune with their stuff at home and play with different things. And you know, you want to go learn how to do it. So these Elites have a lot of adjustability in them with a minimum amount of tools and something that you can really play with yourself at home. So let's go over the specs on this Elite Omnia. This one is 32 inches axle to axle. It comes in at a 6-inch brace height. It comes in draw lengths between 24.5 and 30 inches. And what's unique about the draw lengths on these is they come in actual 1/4-inch increments on the cam themselves. So if you're someone who's kind of a tweener like myself, I'm kind of between 29.5 and 30. Typically in the past, I would either have to manipulate my D-loop length or twist my cables to get the draw length that felt comfortable for me. This comes in peak draw weights at 40, 50, 60, and 70 pounds, and that's just different limbs, so you can get them, but 70 pounds for me, I think is gonna be plenty enough, even if I go through and maybe get a little more by twisting those cables up. They have this adjustable let-off. You can actually adjust your let-off from 70 to 90%, and really any number in between there. There's no set number. You simply loosen the set screw, and you can turn this cog, and what that is going to do is it's going to adjust that string stop, and it's either going to speed it up or slow it down, and depending on where that string stop hits on the cables will effectively manipulate your holding weight or your let off. So someone like myself who likes to shoot a lower let off, I like to shoot that 75, 80% let off. I have the adjustments where I can just do that at home. I don't have to go buy a separate mod, or I don't have to try to play with, you know, other things to get that let off where I want it. And I can bounce between states really easy and just adjust the let off on the mod. So I can go to a state like Colorado that is an 80% let off mod state, and I can adjust it to 80, come back here in North Carolina for whitetail season and crank that bad boy all the way up to 90% if I want to be able to hold a really long time in the tree stand. Because you know, sometimes those deer are not where they need to be right away. There's a train outside. This is actually the performance mod. That's really cool. They also have another mod, which is the smooth mod. So if you're someone who wants a really smoother draw cycle, it has a smoother draw cycle than the performance mod. But particularly after shooting a few arrows to this bow, this performance mod is not really that aggressive. It is a little stiff, but it is not overly aggressive. It's not anything more than I think some of the other manufacturers have on the market. So this mod is cranking arrows out. It is shooting arrows at 340 feet per second IBO, and we're actually gonna go down and I'm gonna run through a few different arrow weights, and we're gonna get some true speed tests out of this, and I'm going to compare that to my Matthews V3X because I feel that's important. Let's get a few arrows out of this and see how it feels. All right, so one other thing that Elite has that is kind of unique and what is really awesome, I think, that bow companies are doing now these days is they're creating adjustability in the bow for the end game user like you and me without the need to have a bow pressed and all these different shims and all this different stuff to get it to tune the way you want it to. So what Elite has is they have this set technology, and what essentially this does is, because this bow does not have yokes on it, you actually loosen the limb pocket, and the limb pocket itself rotates from side to side, and what that is going to do is it's going to affect your cam lean, and that is what you're going to do to help tune this bow once you get your center shot lined up at 13/16. I think a lot of companies are starting to go to bows that are a little more friendlier for the user to use at home, and Elite is definitely on the cutting edge of that. If I were to get one of these, man, This set technology looks extremely easy to use. You just simply loosen this set in the back and you crank this button head, and what it's gonna do is gonna lean it and you can just lock it back down. They were kind enough even to put a tab on the riser itself to let you know which way to go, so you're not sitting here guessing. So the end usability as the shooter, I like that. I have a bow press, but I don't wanna have to put this thing in press every time I wanna do something. So let's get some arrows through this. The more I shoot this bow, the easier that draw cycle gets, especially at the 90% let off. It just dumps a little easier into that back wall. Kind of anticipated a little bit, but the more you shoot your bow, the more you're gonna like it. And the more I'm shooting this Elite, the more I like it. Grip feels really good. Wants to hold really steady. Doesn't wanna move all over the place. The bow particularly doesn't want to jump anywhere after the shot. It doesn't want to jump forward. It doesn't want to get real top heavy, the bottom kick out. It just kind of holds steady, and I like that. Let's do a really slow draw on this one. Not bad. And with no sight on this at all, those arrows are stacked down there in a group that's probably that big. So this thing shoots, man. It's a good bow. All right, so I'm gonna do this as some baseline testing. This is my current setup. This is my Matthews V3X33. It's got 75-pound mods. The cables are twisted up just a bit, so it's drawing about 78 pounds. And it's got 80% mods on it, 30-inch draw length. I'm going to shoot 3 different arrows through it to kind of give you a speed comparison compared to my current build. I have 3 different weight arrows here. This first one is 440 grains. And this should come out of here pretty fast. .304. That thing is screaming. This one is 507 grains. It's my current hunting arrow. .285. And this one is the heaviest arrow that I could find in my little toolbox. This is a Axis that weighs 561 grains. So for you guys that like to shoot some big heavy arrows, this is a good comparison for that. .272. So even a big old heavy arrow, 560 grains, still shooting .272 out of this Matthews V3X. Let's go ahead and grab that Elite Omnia and see what that's pushing at 70-pound draw weight. For the first arrow, 440 grains out of this Elite Omnia. .300 feet per second. That thing is ripping. 507 grains. .279. So right now this bow, compared to my V3X, which is pulling 8 more pounds, is only 8 feet per second slower with the same arrows. Let's see what this 561 grain tank does. .267. So the fall off was not as much with the little heavier arrow. That one was only a 5-pound fall off, or 5 feet per second fall off. So this bow, pretty consistent, has good performance with a lighter arrow. I would consider 440 to be a little on the light side for me with a 30-inch draw length, and a 561 grain arrow has very consistent performance across the board. And honestly, for the few pounds less that this is pulling compared to that V3X, I think this bow's really efficient. The cam, I don't hate the cam on it. I think that if I were to own one of these Elites, I would definitely have to play with that mod let off a little bit and get it to somewhere that's a little more comfortable for me, because That dump into the back wall, you're just kind of waiting for it, and then it's there. But maybe it's one of those things where you just get this bow in your hand, you shoot it a bunch, you kind of anticipate it. The more I've drawn this bow back, especially from starting this video, the smoother and smoother it feels to me. So I think it's just the time getting behind the string and shooting one of these. But performance-wise, this Elite Omnia is definitely throwing some arrows with its 347 IBO rating. And yeah, so a light arrow all the way up to a heavy arrow, there's only about 40 feet per second drop off for about 100 grains. So that's pretty efficient. All right, at the end of the day, this Elite Omnia is definitely a bow that I am very interested in shooting in 2023. If I were to get my hands on maybe a used one, or maybe if I win the lottery, maybe I'll buy one of these. But this bow, for what it is, at 70-pound draw weight, even with the 90% let-off mods on it, it is absolutely screaming some arrows out of here that is holding, I mean, the arrows are holding the exact same pace as the arrows that are coming out of my V3X 33, and that thing has an extra 8 pounds of draw weight on this bow. So I think even if I put maybe like 1 or 2 twists in the cables and get it up to like 72, 73 pounds, I think this thing will be an absolute flamethrower. This bow feels really nice in my hand. I really do like the grip. I like shooting off the riser personally myself. This bow held really steady for me. It felt really good on the back wall. And honestly, just flat out the adjustability that Elite has built into their bows this year with the set technology, I know that's not new, and cam with having 1/4 inch mod draw length adjustments and being able to essentially infinitely adjust your let off from 70 to 90%. I think for the end user like you and me, that's awesome. That you don't have to go buy all these specialty tools and presses and all this stuff. If you just want to play with your bow and you want to tinker and you want to try different things. So if you're into a market for a new bow, this 32-inch axle to axle Elite Omnia is a great option. It's definitely one that is on my radar this year. So if you guys are in the North Carolina area, especially if you were in China Grove, come check out Colin at Grafton Archery and Outdoors. These guys were kind enough to let me come down and review these bows today. I've done business with them in the past. They're an awesome place. And until next time, guys, smash that like button down below. Hit that subscribe button. 90% of you watching these videos are not subscribed to the channel. Subscriptions are free. Hit that subscribe button. Comment, are you going to be shooting one of these Elite Omnias this year? Because this might be something I end up with. Thanks for watching the video, guys. We'll catch you on another one.